Well, this whole issue about risk and LGBTQ elders has been a important issue for me for many years. I did some writing about it in graduate school years ago, and did a lot of work with gay men during the AIDS pandemic, and just have thought a lot about aging while queer. And there are a lot of risk factors involved, and I think about um, people who are most at risk. That really there are three generations right now of queer elders. There's some of that World War II generation that are still around, and those are folks that have lived their lives 100% closeted. By and large, there's a few outliers, but most of them have. And then there's the silent generation, the ones that are kind of in their 80s now, who grew up learning to kind of stay in the background. So being closeted was a natural for that generation. And then there are the baby boomers whose natural stance was to yell a lot, to talk about what's wrong, to try to fix things, to be out and public and loud. And and in communities like this, all three of those come together. And they're all at different kinds of risks for different kinds of reasons out in the community and in communities like this. So so I think about that. I think about the oldest folks and how isolating it is, because people who came of age in the 30s and 40s and 50s even, who had to be closeted their whole lives, their social supports, their communities were usually small groups of like-minded people who would get together socially in each other's homes. And as those folks die, they are left more and more and more isolated without a community. They didn't necessarily relate to a larger gay community or to a movement or anything like that. And the silent generation is kind of split. The front end silent generation lived similarly to that, has lived similarly to that. And the back end silent generation, some of them associated more like with the baby boomers. So there's a split there, but a lot of really isolated people. I think of people I know who were teachers, who are in their 80s now and had to be closeted their entire lives, even though in their later parts of their teaching career, it was okay to be out. But you don't make that shift when you're 55 years old to suddenly say, okay, now I'm going to be an out proud gay teacher. You stay in the closet, and that becomes a habit. And as you retire and you don't have any kind of a work community, maybe a larger gay or lesbian community, that can be really isolating, and depression and loneliness are really common in those kinds of situations. And then, there's the baby boomers who may be used to a large community of activists, but are no longer able to be activists. And that's isolating. So there's whole kinds of reasons why people are, or why queers are at risk as we age.